When Lucas died, it didn't feel real. My older brother had always been the strongest man in the room, confident, fearless, impossible to defeat. Yet 3 months ago, I held his hand in a hospital room that smelled of antiseptic and quiet despair, listening to the machines count down what little time he had left. I thought the nightmare ended at the funeral. I was wrong. Yesterday, his lawyer, Mr. Bennett, called me unexpectedly. "There's something Lucas left behind for you," he said carefully. "A pen drive. He insisted you watch it alone. And Ethan, don't tell Sophia." That last sentence unsettled me. My wife, Sophia, had stood beside me at Lucas's funeral, crying just as hard as I had. Why would my brother want me to hide something from her? The envelope arrived later that afternoon. Small. Plain. No return address. Sophia handed it to me with a teasing smile. "Secret admirer." "Just some business files," I replied casually, slipping it into my jacket pocket. That night, I waited until she fell asleep. The house was silent except for the ticking wall clock. I locked myself in my office, plugged the drive into my laptop, and opened the only file inside. Lucas appeared on the screen. He looked thinner. Pale. But his eyes were sharp. "Ethan," he began quietly, "if you're watching this, I'm gone. And you need to know something before it's too late. Sophia isn't who you think she is." My heart stopped. And then the screen changed. The video cut to static for a moment before a new folder opened on the screen: recordings, emails, account logs. My hands trembled as I clicked the first file. A grainy restaurant scene appeared. Candlelight flickered over a familiar booth. I recognized the place instantly, the same restaurant Sophia once swore she hated. But there she was. Laughing. Smiling. Sitting across from Marcus, Lucas's former business partner who disappeared right after my brother's diagnosis. My chest tightened. Lucas's voice echoed over the footage. "I thought I was imagining things at first, Ethan. But they weren't just meeting, they were planning." Another clip opened. Bank documents. Contracts. My name typed neatly at the top of a transfer form. $600,000, Lucas continued weakly. "They forged my signature and moved it into a shell account under your identity. If anyone investigates, it leads to you." I froze. Every strange thing from the past year suddenly made sense: Sophia asking about my passwords, deleting Lucas's emails by mistake, pushing me to sell my shares after his death. Lucas coughed on the recording, his voice fading. "I left proof in a safety deposit box. The key number is inside this drive. Don't confront her yet." "What?" "Gather evidence. When you act, make it final." The video ended. I sat in the dark, unable to breathe. A soft knock came from the door. "Ethan. Everything okay?" Sophia asked gently. I forced a smile. "Yeah. Just missing Lucas." She stepped inside, eyes scanning my desk for a split second too long. That was when I realized. She wasn't worried. She was checking. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay beside Sophia, staring at the ceiling while Lucas's warning echoed in my head. "Don't confront her yet. Gather proof." My anger burned like fire in my chest, but I forced myself to stay calm. The next morning, after Sophia left for work, I drove straight to the bank. My hands shook as I opened the safety deposit box under Lucas's name. Inside was a thick envelope packed with documents, printed emails, recorded call transcripts, notarized contracts, even screenshots of wire transfers. Lucas had prepared everything. He knew exactly what they were doing. Back home, I locked the envelope in my desk and started watching Sophia more carefully. That evening, while she cooked dinner like nothing was wrong, I installed a small keystroke tracker on our shared computer, the one she used for our finances. Within a day, I had her password. What I found made my blood run cold. Emails between Sophia and Marcus weren't romantic, they were strategic. Cold. Calculated. He's almost ready to sell his shares, she wrote in one message. Move the money through the Wyoming account, Marcus replied. He'll never trace it. Another email from just 2 weeks ago said, after the transfer, we file for divorce. We take the house. My hands clenched into fists. She hadn't just betrayed me. She had planned to destroy me. That night, Sophia kissed my cheek before bed and whispered, "Love you, Ethan." I smiled back. But inside, something had changed forever. Because now I knew the truth. And I was done being their puppet. The next morning, I made the call. "Mr. Bennett," I said quietly, locking my office door. "It's time." He didn't ask questions. He already knew. Within hours, emergency financial freezes were filed. Suspicious transfers were flagged. Accounts connected to the shell company were temporarily restricted pending investigation. Lucas hadn't just left evidence, he had left leverage. By noon, my phone exploded with missed calls. Sophia burst through the front door an hour later, her face pale but furious. "Ethan, what did you do?" she demanded. "My cards are declining. The joint account is frozen." I looked up slowly from my laptop. "That's strange." "Don't play dumb," she snapped. "Fix it. Now." I turned the screen toward her. Hotel receipts. Email threads. The forged contract with my digital signature. Her private messages to Marcus discussing how to liquidate everything quietly. For a split second, fear flashed across her face. Then she tried to recover. "This isn't what it looks like." "It looks exactly like fraud," I said calmly. "Identity theft. Financial conspiracy." Her voice softened suddenly. "Ethan, listen." Marcus pressured me. "I was trying to protect us." "Protect us?" I stood up. "By stealing from me." A knock echoed through the house. Sophia's eyes widened as 2 officers stepped inside behind Mr. Bennett. "This is just a preliminary inquiry," one officer said firmly. "We need you to answer some questions regarding financial irregularities." Sophia turned to me, betrayal in her eyes. "You set me up." "No," I replied quietly. "You set yourself up." As they escorted her out, she screamed that I'd regret this. But I felt something unexpected. Not anger. Relief. Because the game was finally over. Also, I thought the house felt strangely quiet after they took Sophia away. For 5 years, her presence had filled every corner, her perfume in the hallway, her laughter in the kitchen, her voice calling my name. Now there was nothing but silence. I should have felt heartbroken. Instead, I felt clarity. By evening, the investigation widened. Forensic accountants began digging through every transaction connected to Marcus. What they found wasn't just a single fraud attempt, it was a web. Offshore accounts. Fake consulting invoices. Hidden partnerships. Marcus had been siphoning money from Lucas's company for years. Sophia wasn't just involved. She was central. Mr. Bennett called me with an update. Marcus is trying to move funds out of the country. Authorities are tracking him. I nodded, staring at the old framed photo of Lucas and me at our first office opening. We were young, ambitious, unstoppable. I whispered, "You saw this coming, didn't you?" That night, my phone rang from an unknown number. I almost ignored it. But something told me to answer. "You think you've won?" Marcus's voice hissed through the speaker. "I think you underestimated me," I replied calmly. A low laugh. "You don't even know half of it." The call ended. 3 nights later, my security system alerted me at 2:17 a.m. a motion detected in the backyard. I pulled up the camera feed. A hooded figure stood near the patio door. Even through the grainy footage, I recognized the posture. Marcus. He wasn't running. He wasn't hiding. He was staring directly at the camera. At me. This wasn't about money anymore. It was personal. And something told me this was only the beginning. I called the police immediately. By the time they arrived, Marcus was gone. But he had left something behind. A small envelope taped to the back fence. Inside was a single photograph. My hands went cold as I stared at it. It was Lucas. Standing beside Marcus. Alive. The timestamp in the corner showed a date from just 2 weeks ago. That was impossible. I had buried my brother. I had watched the coffin lowered into the ground. The next morning, I went straight to the police station and requested to speak with Detective Cole. I placed the photo on his desk without saying a word. He stared at it for a long moment. Then his expression changed. "You weren't supposed to see this," he muttered. My heart pounded. "See what?" Detective Cole leaned back in his chair. "Your brother wasn't just sick. He was cooperating with a federal financial crimes task force. Marcus had ties to a larger corruption network, judges, investors, shell corporations. Lucas agreed to go undercover. The room felt like it was spinning. He faked his death, the detective said quietly. It was the only way to make Marcus feel safe enough to expose everything. I stood up, furious and confused. "You're telling me my brother let me think he was dead?" "It was classified," Cole replied. "And now Marcus knows he's alive. That makes Lucas a target." That night, another envelope arrived at my door. No stamp. No return address. Just 3 words written inside: midnight. Old oak tree. My pulse quickened. If Lucas was alive, then this wasn't over. Not even close. Midnight arrived colder than I expected. The old oak tree stood at the edge of the abandoned park where Lucas and I used to play as kids. Its trunk split down the center from a lightning strike years ago, our secret meeting spot growing up. I stepped out of my car slowly, scanning the darkness. "Lucas," I called quietly. For a moment, nothing moved. Then a shadow separated from the tree. And there he was. Alive. Dinner. Tired. But undeniably my brother. I felt anger rise before relief could settle. "You let